Founded in 1729, Arlington Street continues today as a gathering place for progressive people of faith in the greater Boston area and beyond. We are located at the corner of Arlington and Boylston Streets, across from the Public Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace.
This is my fourth summer sermon, and this is the sermon I've always started writing but never finished. It's a tricky story to tell, and I've never felt that I was doing it justice, so I've always pivoted to another topic. But this year seems like the right time. Let's see how it goes. My grandfather, my mother's father, was not a great person. His alcoholism was a disease, but his tendency for physical and emotional abuse was a straight-up character flaw. Even when he could hold a job, he drank his paycheck and punished his wife and 4 kids for his own failures. Bad husband, bad father. So bad, in fact, that my grandmother had to make a choice. One day, while my grandfather was out of the house, she packed up her kids, loaded them into the car, and drove away. She didn't even have a driver's license. In the early 1950s, this was a bold and desperate action for a woman to take. It was also the correct thing to do. And for decades, my grandfather was out of the picture. Good riddance. Then, in 1981, my mother got a phone call. It was the hospital. My grandfather, drunk as always, had slipped on some ice and smacked his head pretty hard on the ground. They located my mother on some old paperwork as next of kin. Now, my mother owed him nothing, less than nothing. If she had just hung up the phone, nobody would have judged her for it. But my mother is a good-hearted person. He was in the hospital, facing surgery to relieve the swelling on his brain, with nobody to rely on but his alcoholic acquaintances. My mother's empathy was stronger than any residual bitterness. She stepped up. For almost 2 years, she shepherded him through various surgeries and other procedures. His mind seemed intact, but he had lost the ability to speak, which was an enormous blessing. She held his hand as he was going through alcohol withdrawal for the first time in his life. She got him into a nursing home and would visit him 2 or 3 times a week. She'd update him on what the doctors were saying about his condition. She'd bring him new clothes and usually a milkshake. I was in my early teens, and I'd go with her just for moral support. I had no relationship with my grandfather, but my own empathy had me worried about my mom's emotional well-being. About once a month or so, my grandfather would end up being sent to the hospital for various complications from his condition. My mother worked in Peabody, and when the hospital would call, she'd drop what she was doing and drive to Lowell to be with him. She was determined that he was not going to die without family by his side. So on this one particular Friday, she got a call at work that her father was back in the hospital. She was finishing up a project for her boss. So for the first time, she didn't drop everything and go to the hospital. She finished what she was doing, only 20 or 25 minutes. And then she left for the hospital. Of course, you can see where this story is headed. She arrived just a little too late. He had died while she was on the way. I could see the effect this had on her. She was devastated. Again, not that she owed him anything, but her sense of empathy allowed her to see past the angry, pathetic man that had hurt her and her family. She was able to put herself in his situation, and she treated him not like he deserved, but like she herself would want to be treated. In the end, she missed that final step in the plan. She wasn't there, and he was sung out of this world by beeping machines in a noisy hospital. As the months passed, I could see that she was not going to forgive herself. Some people describe love as a multifaceted diamond with each shimmering cut representing an expression of love. Whatever. I'm gay, so I'll describe love as a disco ball. Each mirrored tile represents a tiny slice of love: forgiveness, generosity of money, generosity of time, sympathy, compassion, and empathy. You can slice up love into 1,000 glittery bits. They're all love. And as such, they all have the capacity to break your heart. She responded to my father's accident with empathy, and choosing any kind of love is always the correct answer. But in this case, it also bit back and left her a little broken. The author Dennis Lehane puts it this way: sympathy is easy. You have sympathy for starving children swatting at flies on late-night commercials. Sympathy is easy because it comes from a position of power. Empathy is getting down on your knees and looking someone else in the eye and realizing you could be them, and all that separates you is luck. Close, but Walt Whitman put it better. I do not ask the wounded person how he feels. I myself become the wounded person. And that's the key. Empathy is not about feeling sorry for somebody or identifying with a person on an intellectual level. It's about actually sharing a person's emotions, putting yourself in that person's situation and feeling what they feel. It's something we're designed to do. Unless there's a serious physical or chemical defect in our brains, we're all born with the capacity for empathy. We're born with the seed of it. A baby will cry when it hears another baby crying. But just like we're born with the capacity for language, the skill doesn't develop unless we use it. It needs to be nurtured and practiced. And I think you'll agree that this world is pretty terrible at encouraging empathy. You may have seen Trump supporters with bumper stickers that say, "F your feelings." There's this notion that feeling empathy makes you woke, whatever that means this week. Bill Clinton was famous for campaigning with the slogan, "I feel your pain." That seems like a long, long time ago. Elon Musk famously said, "The fundamental weakness of Western civilization is empathy." But Elon Musk is a sociopath who should keep his damn mouth shut. Charlie Kirk said empathy was a made-up, New Age term that does a lot of damage, and he certainly lived his life according to that belief. A much more enlightened person, Roger Ebert, who was in his own way a kind of philosopher, once said, "I believe empathy is the most essential quality of civilization." And Roger Ebert is correct. When we talk about humans being social creatures, we're talking about empathy. It's the thing that lets us share the joy of a new parent, and it's the thing that drives people to run into a burning building to rescue an elderly stranger. In many ways, it's the glue that holds us together. It's a basic ingredient in moral leadership. It's the thing that allows us to live in societies. It's the thing that makes us want to make the world better for everybody, not just ourselves. Several weeks ago, I went to see Disclosure Day, the new Steven Spielberg film. In it, the world is on the brink of war, but aliens have given Emily Blunt's character a superpower. It's not super strength or flight or laser beams shooting out of her eyes. It's empathy, turbocharged empathy. She uses it to disarm military troops and perhaps pull the world back from the brink of annihilation. I loved the movie and I loved the message. It's a lesson in the power of empathy set against the backdrop of an action movie. It's a great vehicle for injecting empathy into the national discourse. More like this, please. Now I'm going to tell you about a woman named Joyce. She has a story very similar to my mother's, but with a very different ending. Joyce was a hospital administrator, and one afternoon the ER was short-staffed, so she went down to help out for a bit. After a little while, an ambulance came in with an old man. His chart said he was John Milligan, but somebody had written in quotation marks, Scotty. And this reminded Joyce of something her mother had once told her. In a drunken tantrum, she told Joyce that her father was not her real father. Her real father was a guy she had met at the bar. His nickname was Scotty, because he had moved to the US as a young man from Scotland. That's it. That's all she had. A guy named Scotty was her father. Her mother had just said it to hurt her. Mission accomplished. Was it true? That was almost beside the point. The man in front of her was dying, and his nickname was apparently Scotty. He was alone, and Joyce's empathy told her she needed to stay with this man and give him a little comfort and companionship as he quietly and peacefully passed away. So she did. Was he actually her father? Almost certainly not. This was the 1980s, so there was no DNA test to take, no Ancestry.com, not even the World Wide Web. But Joyce wanted to know for sure whether or not that man was her father. It took a couple of years of digging through City Hall records, tracking down old employers and co-workers, through stories and phone books. That's just what it took back in those days. He hadn't left much of a paper trail. And when she was done, to her absolute amazement, it was true. That man had been her father. And her empathy for this poor old man allowed her to finally, in those last possible moments, meet her father and witness his passing. And her empathy meant that her father did not die alone. It's an amazing story. So amazing, in fact, it's frankly hard to believe. And I haven't even told you the crazy part yet. So at this point, it's almost 2 years after that old man died, and now that she knew it was her dad, here's what Joyce did next. She called my mother. Why? Because that man she met in the ER wasn't just her father, he was also my mother's father, my grandfather, and Joyce, it turns out, is my mother's half-sister. So while my mother sat in rush hour traffic 2 years earlier, trying and failing to get to the hospital, Joyce was already there. His daughter was by his side. He had family with him at the end. It was exactly what my mother had wanted. When Joyce told her the story, in an instant, my mother was saved. History was rewritten. Her guilt about missing her father's death swept away like dust. He didn't die alone. He didn't die alone. I've spoken from this pulpit before about my atheism, but it's hard to tell a story like this without using words like miraculous and divine intervention. I could use words like karma and supernatural, but they don't quite capture the vast impossibility of what happened. When my mother hung up the phone with Joyce, she was quiet for a while. I knew the call had been big news because my mom went from confused to happy to crying to laughing. When she finally sat me down to tell the story, it changed me. I remember thinking at the time, it's going to take me weeks to wrap my head around this. Now, 4 decades later, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. It was like something had peeled back a corner of the sky to give me a tiny glimpse of the hidden, unknowable gears and pistons of the universe. Invisible machinery that could somehow orchestrate the impossible. Something that was outside the realm of rationality, literally inconceivable. It made my head swim. When that hospital called in 1981 about her father slipping on the ice, my mother chose empathy over bitterness. By doing so, she set in motion a series of events that would result in a perfect stranger meeting her biological father, my mother meeting a half-sister she never knew she had, and me changing the way I saw the world. 40 years later, Joyce and my mom are still friends. I'm finally giving this sermon now because my mom had a stroke earlier this year, and her grip on reality is steadily slipping away due to vascular dementia. I go see her every couple of days, and she'll tell me in great detail about all the employees at the nursing home carrying guns, and the secret doors that lead back to her house, and that trip she took yesterday to Florida. But her capacity for love remains. She's thrilled to see me. She can't stop telling me how much she loves me. She's sorry that I get stuck writing out her bills. I know her future is bleak, but I also know that her love for me and for the rest of my family will be the last part of her to fade away. So I wanted to share with you this extraordinary snippet from her life well lived. Beloved spiritual companions, this is what I'm trying to say. When you hear a voice in the back of your head urging you down the road of empathy, listen to it. A cold heart won't make your world any bigger or any better. Empathy might lead you to new experiences and unexpected connections that improve your life, and maybe even blow your ever-loving mind. Adventure awaits. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be. We'll close the service with a quote from Henry David Thoreau. Could a greater miracle take place than for us to look through each other's eyes for an instant? There's that word again, miracle. I'm starting to feel like a pretty poor excuse for an atheist. Love is the spirit of this congregation. May love hold us all until we meet again. Let us keep this faith, beloveds, and pass it on. The service begins when the service ends. Amen.
People
We are located at the corner of Arlington and Boylston Streets, across from the Public Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace.